me. This is bin 2. Today is the 26th of October 2024. It has actually been 17 days since I've been in bin 2. That's the longest I've gone in a while. Not intentionally. Okay, so last time it had been 13 days. I fed half a watermelon prior to that. The castings, White Davy, WD, Garden, Worms and Garden, was correct in that she said, I think your castings are going to be too wet to harvest, because back in September I had said I'd like to harvest the first half of this in the beginning of October, and then have it completely harvested probably by the middle of October, at least by the end of it. And not only have I been taking too long to check in here, but it's also just been, it has been too wet, and it's still on top here. As I move around, I see worms underneath. But last time I also asked what you guys thought about the fact that I put some arborvitae trimmings in here, and did you think that the worms would be under them? There are a couple as I move it around. However, oh, and this was part of a pumpkin vine, part of my efforts to add more organic matter to the bin. And you see that the leaves on it are completely gone. But I'm not entirely surprised that there weren't. This is the feeding zone. So, I'm looking at my notes. I'm trying to make this fast because really I'm in here to get some castings to finish my garlic planting. This was pretty moist at the bottom. I said there was standing moisture. I don't know that standing moisture is the way to put it, but that's how moist it's been. However, there was a great population of worms in the feeding zone. And I also asked you guys, what did you think about these castings? Did you feel the same way? That it was actually really interesting, to see. Well, again, it's been 17 days, though. I was going to say it's really interesting to see that there are a lot of worms on this side, opposite the feeding zone. Wow. I don't normally see that, but I also don't normally go 2.5 weeks without checking in. And yeah, these are really muddy. And I guess it's kind of discouraging, because last time I had started separating the paper chunks out, which is what you will find over here, is more paper. So that I could harvest this side. And seeing all these worms, really wanted to just come in here and harvest for my garlic, because I had said, yeah, see, it's pretty, you can even hear squishy when I squeeze, and I wasn't even squeezing that hard because, wow, it's full of worms. But they're pretty muddy at the bottom. So that is another reason for me. I say it every time I find conditions being less than optimal. Another reason to check into the bin sooner than later. In the case of a wet bin, add more dry matter, or stir it up more. Still lots of worms. Stir it up more to bring more airflow in there. Mix it around. Yeah, so, it's obviously a group of seeds of something, probably from that zinnia flower. But what's discouraging to me is that I had wanted to be able to come in here and just grab castings, but now I don't feel comfortable doing that, what with there being so many worms in here. But it remains the case that I still need more castings And part of me says, well, maybe I only have 8 cloves of garlic, which tells me no, I was about to say used it unevenly for all the many cloves that I've planted. So part of me says, well, maybe you can just go for these last 8 without, or just use even less. I've got a little bit of castings left. However, then there's the conundrum that then I have a whole bunch of castings for the winter, unless I just use them and sort of break them up and spread them out over top of the beds like compost. I could store them for the winter, but all right. Well, this kind of defeats the purpose of me stopping what I was doing outside to come in here and get castings. But since I've started this video and we're already here, I might as well just go ahead and finish what I'm doing. All right, this is the feeding zone. Let's see from my notes. I said I wasn't going to add any more paper products, and I lied because it was so wet. Changed my mind, rather. Well, these were worms that were under the arborvitae. I've never added an evergreen like this, so... But, I said I changed my mind and added paper as part of a pepper because it's so wet in here. But that's not something I want to do. So here's the crazy part. I brought a whole bunch of organic matter to, okay, so there's worms in here. There are worms in this feeding zone. I brought a whole bunch of organic matter with the intention of harvesting castings. And so now I feel kind of strange that I'm not harvesting castings. So there's worms all in here. Oh, wow. Those are all fruit fly cocoons. Not anymore, but guys, not anymore. Okay, I added a little bit more to counter the wet stuff. So there was some stale, nutritional yeast that I added in here because I found those like flower weevils or pantry beetles in it, so it wasn't good for me anymore. A very soft grapefruit that I punctured, the arborvitae you've already seen, half an avocado, some tomatoes and tomato trimmings, watermelon skins, an apple, a piece of okra, and some cut vegetables, or like the vegetables you get in a tray from the store, a pepper, a zinnia head, and the pumpkin on top. So that's quite a bit. And we're definitely seeing worms in here. I smell the grapefruit. But again, I'm still very confused by their presence in the... I hear swampy mushiness. So that must be the apple. So this makes me even more confused about... Yeah, here's the grapefruit. That is just like falling apart. No worms in it. Some fruit fly maggots. I smell stink. That reminds me of tomato stink. There are worms around the grapefruit. But this is atypical of a feeding zone. But let's just go ahead and scoop up like I did last time. All right, here's a lot of worms. Nice little worm party surrounding the half of an avocado, as we would expect. Lots of worms in there. And our paper products, that's our apple. What am I gonna do, guys? This was not... It's wet and muddy down there. There's still a lot of worms down there. But the thing is that there weren't a lot of worms closer to the feeding zone. So they weren't fond. I mean, maybe I should have used the light after all. Still pretty muddy down there. There's a lot. A lot of worms throughout this material. So I can't really be that I can't, you know, I didn't find so many worms above the feeding zone, but underneath, I mean, there's still, this is a lot of worms. So the only thing that's keeping me from harvesting the castings on the other side is that there are so many worms in it. So really this bin just has a ton of worms all throughout. All right. Well, since I'm in here, I didn't bring any food scraps because my plan was just to load them with this organic matter that is going to be their food. So I just won't use as much of it. I have an entire 5-gallon bucket of plant trimmings from the garden. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna layer it in here with I noticed, by the way, that the shredded paper is gone, or is not evident. Interesting. So our torn paper, or I won't say gone, but there's not as much. I don't see the shredded paper. I just don't want to go so far as to say it's gone. Yeah, okay. I forgot this wasn't so cut up. All right, what we have here are half-dead zinnia flowers. A little tiny baby cantaloupe that never got a chance to ripen because the vine died. This is zinnia flowers and their stalks, as well as part of a ground cherry plant. Now, guys, I was going to add, like I said, I would plan to harvest. Oh, this is also part of a pepper plant. I was going to harvest and therefore add some wet cardboard, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to keep adding from my bucket. We'll take the cardboard out and save it for next time or for somebody else because I'm so behind. Okay, now these were recently living, as opposed to cut yesterday or the day before, nasturtiums. Do I want to give them any more? No. I'm just going to, oops. I'm just going to mix, just push all this stuff over. And we're just not going to plant the rest of the garlic with as many castings as I've been using. And we're gonna use the castings differently than I intended. These will be harvested. If I actually get in here in a week, then I don't believe that, I don't know. I mean, as these greens break down, I think the worms will find them enticing. But I think there'll still be quite a few worms in here. So I probably won't be harvesting this next week. Today being the 26th of October. Yeah, maybe I'll harvest by the 7th of November or the 14th, the first or second week of November. Harvest that half. I think that, again, as those greens break down, as those plants break down, the worms will be interested in moving over there. And if no, even once they do move over there, I want these to dry out more, and I want to stir them up again. But yeah, okay. Well, so this week we started with bin 2 after 17 days. There was a lot that wasn't there. The evidence of the apple and the, whoops, the avocado's right here. And the avocado are not surprising. And the apple was mostly mush. And the grapefruit, also not surprising. That may have been what run them off. But then again, I fed citrus before. Well, they weren't run off. There were lots of worms in there. But they were all throughout. Like, they didn't love this area anymore after 17 days. So, and I said I thought I would expect remnants of the grapefruit, apple, and watermelon skin, which I didn't see any of the watermelon skin in 8 days. Well, it's been twice that, and I said I thought it'd be 80% done. I think it's fair to say it was, the food was 90%, 88 to 90% gone after 17 days, which we would, well, yeah, like I said, it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. The grapefruit, the arborvitae are still there. Oh, and I expected them to be there. Half an avocado, tomatoes and tomato trimmings, watermelon skins, apple, okra, and cut vegetables, zinnia head. Yeah, so I'd say 90% of the food was gone after 17 days. So let me know if you enjoy seeing this bin with its larger population. I know today wasn't as exciting, what with me not having the light on, but you see that there's a lot of worms in here, and they're spread all throughout. So let me know what you think in the comments, please, if you enjoyed this video, or if you didn't, let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down, and yeah, if you'd like to know when I'm going to post my next video, or when I do actually post it, a good way to do that would be to subscribe and hit the notification bell, so you'll get a notice of when I post my videos. All right, thank you so much for your time and your interest. It's back outside for me, and yeah, I wish you well. Be safe, be well. Bye for now.